The Nvidia 3070 is going to be faster than the 2080 Ti. The 3080 twice as fast as the 2080. Now that's pretty exciting, so I think we can start planning our PC builds again. So let's talk about what we heard today and let's see what we do for our builds. Let's get started. Hey guys, Tiago with Classical Technology here. Thank you for joining me for another video. If you like my content, smash that like button, subscribe, leave a comment below. What do you think about these new GPU announcements? It's pretty crazy, huh? Alright, so a little while back there were some leaks about some potential pricing, and thankfully that pricing was wrong, sort of in our favor, in the consumer's favor. Before we had talked about the 3070 being around $599, but the Founders Edition is going to be $499, which is about the same price as the 2070. Now keep in mind, third-party cards often will be more expensive, so don't expect to see all of the 3070s at $499. You're definitely going to see them closer to the $600 range, especially with some of the more intricate third-party cards. But nonetheless, that's pretty good news, because $499 for a 3070, which according to Nvidia, and we don't know the full details yet, there haven't been any reviews yet or benchmarks, it's going to be faster than a 2080 Ti. As you guys know, 2080 Ti is over $1,000, so that's half the price for something faster. That's pretty significant. Now, we don't know if Nvidia means it's going to be faster in terms of just ray tracing or in traditional compute performance and traditional frames per second like we're used to seeing in past generations, but just the fact that it's faster at something for half the price, I think it's really, really impressive. If the eventual reviews and benchmarks and reliability hold up pretty well for the 3070, I think it's gearing up to be an absolute monster of a GPU, especially for the price at $499 to get better performance than the 2080 Ti. I mean, that's going to be pretty incredible, and I would assume that this is going to be the go-to card for almost all gamers that have a little bit more of a budget and can stretch it to this. Of course, there are the higher-end cards, but it seems like you're going to get a really good performance for your dollar for this 3070. Now, we still have to see what the actual numbers will be and benchmarks, so always kind of hold your final opinion until we see that. It looks like we're going to be getting pretty significant upgrades this generation. There was even a comment during the presentation that now the people that have been waiting from the previous generation, like the Pascal GPUs, they can finally upgrade without worrying too much. I know a lot of people did skip the 20 series just because they weren't really performing that much higher than like a 1080 Ti or a 1080, and the price was substantially more. Now it looks like we're going in the right direction. Performance, at least according to what we've seen preliminarily so far, $499 for the 3070 definitely seems like it's going to see a lot of people using it in their builds. And of course, these better specs go with everything that's going to come with ray tracing and DLSS, all these new technologies. A GPU like this is going to be able to crunch through a lot better than something even from the previous generation, like a 2070 Super or something like that. So it definitely looks very promising, not only for gaming, but also I think a lot of content creation and video editing, people using Premiere, DaVinci Resolve, they're going to be able to take advantage of these GPUs, as that software in both cases have been using GPUs more and more. Now, the next GPU that they mentioned is going to be the 3080. Traditionally, this is the high end before it cuts off to sort of that really ultra high end. Now, according again to Nvidia, and we can't really know until we see benchmarks and tests to see exactly what they're talking about, the 3080 is twice as fast as the 2080. Now, that's definitely pretty impressive because I consider the 2080 to be a high-end card, very powerful card. It does pretty well at 4K gaming. Even if Nvidia is just talking about ray tracing performance, it's still very, very impressive. Once again, it's going to come in at $699 instead of $799 as the leaks indicated before. I think that's pretty impressive. That's about the same price as the 2080 Super, same price as the 1080 Ti. Now, if this 3080 at $699 is twice as fast as the last generation 2080, imagine how much faster it is than even the 1080 Ti, which cost $699 just a few years ago. So we're definitely getting super impressive performance here, as well as having access to all these new technologies with ray tracing. Now, this GPU is going to come in at $1499, which is basically a little more than twice the price of the 3080. Now, this is where you're going to run into a little bit more of diminishing returns as you pass, I think, that 3080. Of course, the 3090 is going to perform literally on all metrics considerably better than the 3080, but for most gamers, I don't think that bump in performance is going to really be worth twice the cost, more than twice the cost. So I think for most, even high-end gamers, you'll be really fine with the 3080, especially considering it's the performance of two 2080s. Now, the 3090 seems like it's going to be basically what the Titan GPUs are for Nvidia. It's going to be sort of their Halo GPU. It's interesting that there isn't a 3080 Ti available yet, but there definitely does seem to be that space in the pricing for a 3080 Ti. I would guess that a 3080 Ti would probably be priced pretty similarly to something like a 2080 Ti from last generation, maybe something around like the $1,100 mark. That would definitely make sense. You have the 3070 at $499, just like the 2070 Super. Then you have the 3080 at $699, and then maybe a 3080 Ti eventually around that like $1,000 to $1,100 mark, and a little bit higher. You're gonna have this new 3090 type of GPU that's gonna be around $1,500. Now, if this new 3090 has the performance, or even better performance, I should say, than the current generation Titan RTX, I mean, in a way, even though it's expensive, that's pretty impressive because the current Titan RTX is around $2,499, well over $2,000. So if this 3090 beats that, and we don't really know yet, we have to see benchmarks and reviews later on, that's going to put the 3090 price more in perspective. And who knows, in the future, maybe Nvidia saving that 2,000 something price bracket for something like a Titan card that may have an actual Titan branding later on. So that's something, the 2080 Ti as well as the Titan cards. Usually it's common that Nvidia may want to hold these really high-end cards until a little bit later, just because the cards that we're getting now already have so much performance, and you have something super high-end to make people happy on that end, like the 3090. You have the regular high-end gamers at the 3080, and you have a little bit more mainstream market in that 3070 pricing. And of course, later on, it's going to include everybody with the 3060, and those GPUs generally come out a little bit later. They tend to hit with these big GPUs first, then later they're going to have the more mainstream and cheaper GPUs, as well as sprinkling in some of these really high-end GPUs that they leave as a surprise later on. So now, when are these coming out? Now, according to Nvidia, it seems like the 3080 will be the first one out. It's going to come out around September 17th. About a week later, we're going to get the 3090, and then sometime in October, we're going to get the 3070. So in as soon as a few weeks in September, you're going to be able to get your hands on a 3080, possibly 3090, but you're going to have to wait until October to get the little bit cheaper 3070. So if you're planning to build a PC, I would definitely not buy a GPU right now that's from the previous generation. Wait a little bit until we see these prices go down. These specs are really good for the 3000 series. They're priced pretty well, so we're definitely going to see a lot of people upgrading to that 3070, the 3060 when it comes out. Even in the high end, we're going to see that 3080. So you're definitely going to see a lot more secondhand GPUs on the used market, maybe 2070 Supers, 2080s, things of that nature. So keep an eye on those prices because they may get pretty interesting if you want to keep things in more of a budget. But aside from that, you can definitely start to plan your PC build around one of these GPUs, because now we're very close. If you were planning on getting like a 3070 or the 3080 and that fits within your budget, definitely plan your build around that. I'd say you can start gathering your components, getting everything ready. If the GPU is the only thing you need, just wait for that to come out, put that in there. And I think these GPUs are so powerful, they're definitely going to be pretty good for the next couple of years. Even when Nvidia releases their next generation, I still think they likely will hold up pretty well. Just like the 20 series, they're still respectable in a lot of cases. It's not like they're completely outdated just because the new stuff came out. All right, guys, so this was just a little quick discussion on what we saw today. Definitely looks pretty promising. GPUs look very, very powerful. Pricing seems to be pretty much on par with last generation, which is good. It's better than what the leaks showed. So we just have to wait for some reviews and benchmarks to come in. Let's see how these GPUs really perform. Let's see how their coolers are. Let's see how the design is. I think there's a lot for us to see before these actually even hit the shelves and start shipping. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Remember to subscribe, watch my other videos, leave a comment below, and I'll see you on the next video.